And people thought when I would tell them there's this nationwide pedophile network that is for very powerful people that's connected to the CIA, people just didn't want to hear that at that point. And I would be pitching editors and publishers, and I'd be looking straight at them. And then I would tell them about this story, and I could see the cognitive dissonance occur before my very eyes. They would think to themselves, this is really a horrible story.
You're saying there was ties with the CIA to the Franklin scandal.
Yes.
I've heard you talk about Bush. I've heard you talk about Warren Buffett's wife was working at that credit union.
No,
some
she,
kind of a
she
relationship.
provided money.
She provided money,
to
yes.
the credit union.
So what is the ties to CIA and Buffett?
I didn't find any ties to CIA and Buffett, but there's definitely CIAs to Craig Spence, and he was definitely a CIA asset. And he was the second pimp who was in Washington, D.C. And I managed to acquire like 200 flight logs, like with Epstein, with the Franklin scandal. And most of them went to Washington, D.C. And that's where the party house was.
And Craig Spence was a powerhouse, a lobbyist, D.C., somebody that a lot of the folks in D.C. respected. So it wasn't like he was a lightweight guy. Yeah, right there. Spence registered with the U.S. State Department as a foreign agent for Japan and began lobbying for Japanese interests. So he's got a very interesting background.
With both King and Spence, now this is my surmise, both King and Spence came from relatively lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And King was sent to Thailand during the Vietnam War and given top security clearances. And Spence was also in Southeast Asia reporting as an ABC reporter. And now they both had kind of mediocre careers prior to Southeast Asia, but after Southeast Asia, it's like they come back to the US and like their careers just rocket. And my surmise on this is that King and Spence were, I mean, they were inveterate pedophiles. That King and Spence were probably busted molesting kids in Southeast Asia. And then at that point, they were turned by some dark, malignant corner of our government that perpetrates things like Franklin and also perpetrates things like Epstein.